Pedigrees are diagrams that show the occurrence of phenotypic traits for a particular gene and how they're passed down between generations of organisms. They're useful to help identify the modes of inheritance for a trait as they're passed down through a family. So we'll go over 5 main modes of inheritance: Y-linked inheritance, X-linked dominant inheritance, X-linked recessive inheritance, autosomal dominant inheritance, and autosomal recessive inheritance. So here we'll be using the Baggins family tree to show examples for each of these modes of inheritance. So we can see that Frodo and Bilbo have the blue phenotype, which is for adventurousness, and the rest of the family has a green phenotype, which is non-adventurous. So here we can see that this trait could not be passed down through Y-linked inheritance because the trait would have to follow the Y chromosome. The father gives his Y chromosome to the son, and so the son and father would have to have the same phenotype, which they do not if you look at Drogo and Frodo. Our trait could also not be passed down through X-linked dominant inheritance because Frodo gets a Y chromosome from his father. He'll only have one X chromosome, which will have to determine his phenotype. And because his mother is a non-adventurous phenotype, that means that she has to have a recessive genotype with 2 recessive X chromosomes. And so Frodo can only get the small X recessive chromosome from his mom and not the dominant X chromosome that he would need to get the adventurous phenotype. Here we can see that the trait could be passed down through X-linked recessive inheritance. So in this example, large X's will represent the dominant X chromosome, and small x's will represent the recessive X chromosome. So in this slide, we'll see that autosomal dominant inheritance could not be the mode of inheritance for this trait. The reason being, both of Frodo's parents display a non-adventurous phenotype, so they would have to have a recessive genotype for the trait, which means they'd both have 2 small b alleles for the trait. Frodo, on the other hand, in order to have an adventurous phenotype, would need to have at least 1 large B dominant allele, but he would not be able to get this from either of his parents. On this slide, we can see that the trait could be passed down through autosomal recessive inheritance. So we have the little b representing our recessive allele, and the big B is representing the dominant allele. And these were references for the pictures.